Hey everybody, it's Dan Neely here with NFL DFS Picks. We are going to do some Underdog Best Ball Mania 5 live best ball drafts. These drafts cost $25 to get into. I'm going to queue up right now. So if anybody's tuned in and they want to get in on this, these fill up pretty fast. And we only got room for 2. One thing about the Underdog is you can't really tell how full the rooms are sitting there. There's a lot of differences here with Underdog, DraftKings, and Drafters. I like to do drafts on all 3 sites. Underdog is kind of like the flagship company of best ball. They're the ones that really started this big money best ball, fantasy football, and I believe this is their 5th year doing these tournaments now. And this tournament has grown into an incredible financial opportunity for fantasy football players. I think that you're almost crazy not to get in to at least some of these. If you like fantasy football, you should try to enter into some of these. It pays $1.5 million to first place. I got the 8 spot here. My team name is Buffalo Blunts. $750,000 goes to second place. $500,000 goes to third. $400,000 goes to fourth. $300,000 and so on. The top 20 teams make at least $100,000. They don't just pay out the top 20 teams. So basically, if you finish, if you make the playoffs, you're pretty much going to make at least your money back on the team for the most part. The way this scoring format works on Underdog is it's a half-point PPR scoring. They do fractions, 0.1 for a yard receiving or rushing, 6 points for receiving or rushing touchdown, 0.04 for passing yards, so not a ton. Yards, scoring for yards, 4 points for passing touchdowns, -1 for interceptions, -2 for fumbles. You draft 18 rounds in this Underdog, and you start 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, 1 tight end, and 1 flex, and you have 10 people on the bench. And the way best ball works is you automatically always end up with your best. Your team kind of just changes as the games go. So say Thursday night comes and you got some guys in there Thursday night. As they play, they'll be in your lineup. And then when Sunday comes, as you have guys in your lineup that start outperforming them, they'll just change with the flow. And by the end of the week, you just have your very best 8 guys in your lineup, and that's the points you get. If your 9th guy scores amazing, you're not going to get any points for that. I'm on the clock. It looks like in the 8th spot, Amon-Ra St. Brown has fallen to me. What a great value. So in Underdog, one thing we want to do here is we want to use the queue. We want to use the queue anyway, but definitely on Underdog because it's a little tricky. Once you click on the player, now you have to scroll down to draft them unless you're in the mobile app. I prefer the mobile app on Underdog because you can just kind of slide the player across and hit draft, and it's much easier. It doesn't take up your whole phone. On the PC, laptop, it's a little tricky to just hit draft, which is frustrating to me, and I wish Underdog would do something about that. What's up, Hot Take? I see you on here. Appreciate you, man. Glad to see you. Hot take is going to be coming on some of these streams once I get the hang of this. This is my first Underdog stream. This is my 260th best ball draft this year. I have 95 Underdog drafts done, so I have a pretty good idea of how the board unfolds here for the draft. And one of the things I want to teach you guys to do here is, and I'm not doing it yet, is use your queue. So on Underdog, I think that there's a little bit of a premium on running backs. I think Nico Collins is maybe the one receiver that might take the biggest leap. So right now I'm kind of leaning Jonathan Taylor or Nico Collins here. I know Taylor has, probably he's probably the guy that everybody thinks is gonna pan out here. I'm gonna take the safe pick because I'm doing a draft video for you guys, and I want to teach you guys the right move. Nico is not a bad pick there if you believe in Nico, but he's gonna have a little more competition for targets there. I do believe he will have more targets than he had last year, though. I feel very strongly that Nico Collins is undoubtedly the number one receiver there. I think that, they ripped up Steph Diggs' contract, which was a very, team-friendly deal for what was left on the deal, for the caliber receiver that people believe Stephon Diggs is and what these players are getting paid now. They ripped the remainder of that up, and Diggs is on a one-year rental, and they gave Nico at the time tops in the NFL receiver money, which in just a couple weeks became not really that great. But kudos to Houston for being ahead of that and, really getting that right. That was a great move by them. I think they got Nico for something like 3 years, 72 million-ish. Which seemed like a lot of money. But when you look at the advanced analytics on Nico Collins last year, he had 109 targets. He was, I think, the seventh or the ninth highest scoring fantasy wide receiver and the seventh highest scoring fantasy points per game receiver. He missed a couple games. I could see, Nico being the guy that Stroud pushes the ball to downfield. I could see Diggs being the more underneath guy, and I could see Nico getting maybe 20 or 30 more targets total this year if he makes it through the season healthy, and I could see him taking that big CeeDee Lamb step or that big Amon-Ra St. Brown step. I see C.J. Stroud as being a guy that's possible to throw for 5,000 yards in that dome and that offense and that division versus those defenses. I think they're going to be in a lot of shootouts. I don't think their defense is particularly fantastic. I know Tank Dell's really great player. I've been stacking Nico and Dell a lot and hoping that Stroud falls a little in the draft. And when that happens, I like to take him and work on that stack. I think that you want that stack to slide, though, because he doesn't run the ball very much and he maybe has a poor draft value. So if you can maybe get him 10 picks after ADP, you're doing a lot better. Right now I'm up in 2 picks. I have on my team so far Jonathan Taylor and Amon-Ra. Taylor's by week 14, so I want to probably not draft Derrick Henry here if I'm thinking a bit about getting another running back. Personally, I'm a big Kyren Williams guy. If I can start my team off in Underdog with Jonathan Taylor and Kyren Williams, I'm going to do it. I feel like in Underdog, the wide receivers don't come off quite as early as in Drafters and DraftKings because it's not a full point PPR. So there's a little bit of a premium on these running backs, especially guys like Kyren Williams, who scored 20 points a game last year, which is really unprecedented anymore in today's league. You're not getting a whole lot of potential. Thanks for stopping by, Hot Takes. He says, I'm just chilling, bro. Stopping by to say hello while at work, but I got to run. Catch you later, brother. Thanks for stopping in. If you're here, hit the like. I'm just new to streaming, so anything helps. I'm not really looking to really ever monetize this. I'm looking to just help people as often as I can. I just got a lot of knowledge and I got some time here. My family's out on vacation for this week. So I wanted to come on here and try to maybe make some tutorial videos for, just a average everyday person that's wanting to get on Underdog or Drafters or DraftKings. And I'm going to do some of these live streams and we're going to talk a little bit of strategy. I'm coming up and I'm not using my queue. I love George Pickens here. I think he's probably one of the guys that can get a 40, 50 target boost this year. The other guy that would be in consideration for me here is Kelsey, but I'm not positive he's going to be the number one tight end. And I like some late round value at tight end, so I'm not going to take Kelsey. I'm going to take Pickens here, and I'm going to start my team off with 2 running backs, 2 receivers, Amon-Ra, Jonathan Taylor, Kyron Williams, and George Pickens. Hey, what's up, Bayou Sleaze Disco? Thanks for coming. Appreciate you guys stopping in. Hope your guys' draft went well. I was watching most of it, keeping up with you guys. So I was just kind of telling everybody about how Underdog works, and you guys all know how Underdog works. So, some of the things about Underdog that are a little bit different than drafters. These are big drafters guys that are coming on and hanging out in the chat and watching. And these guys are putting out great content all the time. You got to hit up their YouTube, hit up their X, Big Draft Energy, Bayou Bengal, and Sleazeball Fantasy Football, Bayou Bengal Fantasy Network, Big Draft Energy. Smash a sub on their YouTube and watch some drafters content. They do more than just drafters content. They do all kinds of fantasy stuff. They're all going to the Fantasy Football Expo coming up here in August, and they're all going to have their own booth. They got great stuff all day on X, nonstop basically. So guys got to subscribe to their pages, check out their YouTube videos. And these tutorials can really help you. So one thing we want to do on Underdog that's different is we want to really use the queue for sure, because the format here is a little trickier just to hit draft, right? Like if I want to draft this guy right now, I'm going to click his name. And then when I click his name, there's not even a place to draft. I got to scroll down here quite a bit, and they don't give you much window here. Another thing that I think that is important in this Underdog is just to go through and just really just hit all the guys that you like and kind of avoid the guys that you don't like in your queue. So you never really have a chance to have a mistake happen. So if you get sidetracked, I'm not really. This would be a good team maybe for me to take Anthony Richardson on. I got Jonathan Taylor. I can get, some late round value with Jelani Woods and Josh Downs. He's sitting up here at the top of the board. I don't do that very often. He has really good potential in this format, being a dual threat quarterback. This format kind of only gives you four points for passing touchdowns, and you get quite a bit of rushing scoring here. So I think that if you want to take an early quarterback, you should only do it if it's a guy that has some mobility to his game. He might be the one like sleeper guy to come up and just join that elite group of Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Lamar Jackson as the dual threat guys. I think Jaden Daniels is another guy that could be that. So we have Kool-Aid 7 here on the turn. I've drafted with Kool-Aid a lot. He does a great job. That guy is always sniping me, and I have just been so mad at Kool-Aid so many times. I'm not recognizing a whole bunch of other names on here. Yeah, Underdog, boo. I agree, sleazeball. You know what though? We've been just doing drafters stuff, and you guys are doing great at that. And I think that drafters is easier to navigate, and it's easier to present on. I did the drafters on my last stream, and I just felt so much more comfortable. Like I can see so much more on this. I can't like scroll. I can't scroll down at all. So the only amount of players I can see on their screen here is just immediates, the guys that are right here up at the top. And you really got to you got to really focus. You can't just put yourself in a spot where you want to reach 10 picks, because you might not have enough time to even get there and get them drafted right. But I'm a big tight end, bully tight end guy. I think George Kittle has one of the best values in this whole draft and all the drafts. I think that Evan Ingram is probably right up there with him. Kittle and Ingram are the two guys I like to handcuff to kind of like as my bully tight ends in the middle. So if I can see that opportunity around now, if I'm down towards one of the ends, and those guys are both high on the board, and I can maybe grab Kittle and Ingram in this format, I think what that allows you to do is just quit at two tight ends. You have two great tight ends. There's only 18 people on your roster, so you really need to free up that, availability to take some chances late, and you don't want to be spending 3 picks at tight end and an Underdog if you can help it. I think it's pretty important. I see Disco. If you click on the chat, it'll pop up, and then click it again and it'll pop down. Very cool. I got a really nice little setup now, Disco. I got a big 32-inch monitor right here next to me, and I got StreamYard on the big monitor, so I can see what everyone's seeing, and I can see the chat here on the left. And I just learned last night, my friend came over and watched the UFC with me, and he's kind of a computer nerd, and he helped me set this all up, and he showed me how I just drag one thing over to the other monitor, and I've been messing with that today, trying to get prepared to come on here. So I appreciate you telling me that I needed to get another monitor and what to do and how to do all this, and calling me when my last stream was starting off as a total bomb. You saved the day, and I appreciate you. And you deserve anything that is ever going to happen good in your life, man. Truly believe that. Okay, so I'm coming up here. I'm not utilizing the queue like I'm trying to teach everybody. I love Kamara, who's one of the best values there is. I think I like to get 3 running backs somewhat early in Underdog and kind of chill on them a little bit. Right now, 2 guys that are sticking out to me are Kamara and Ramondre Stevenson. Let's go over here and check my buys. I got bye week 14 and 6, so I think that's going to take Stevenson off the list. I don't want to double up on bye weeks this early in the draft. I might do it later if I know I'm okay. I'm going to take Kamara, even though he's a better value in full PPR. I do see him having a pretty good year this year in the Shanahan system. I think he's a perfect fit for it. I've never been worried about Kendra Miller taking any jobs. I haven't been drafting him as the handcuff all year, even before his hamstring injuries. I didn't like his value. I thought Jamal Williams had a better value, and I don't think Jamal Williams ever did anything to lose the job as the number 2 guy. He's just a year removed from being, I think he scored something like 17 touchdowns 2 years ago. So I know he led the NFL in touchdown runs, I'm pretty sure. Not thinking he's going to do that, but I do believe in him as Kamara's backup, and I don't believe in Kendra Miller. Disco, I would do the same thing for you, man. I don't know what I could possibly help you with, but whenever I figure out something that I can help you with, you can count on me. I will definitely say yes. Uh, all my friends know that. So I hope that all you guys know that. You guys could count on me for anything. So far, I got a pretty nice little build here. I got Richardson, Jonathan Taylor, Kyron Williams, Alvin Kamara. I'm weak at wide receiver with Amon-Ra and Pickens, but I love those two guys. I have Kittle here, and I think it's time for me to, I wanna say I have to take a wide receiver here. But I mean, in reality, I have such a bully running back room here going, and I have a chance to maybe take Zamir White here with a different bye week. And if I do that, I can probably just leave running back completely alone in this draft. And I can probably get about 6 number 2 receivers to pair with this group, or maybe 7 or 8 even. And I think that I could probably count on running backs always being in my flex and that being pretty strong. I'm on the clock here. I got Zamir White, Raheem Mostert sticking out to me. He's a receiver. Receivers are just not that great right now. Curtis Samuel, to me, I'm a Bills fan. Curtis Samuel's scaring me a little bit. I know he's going to be great, but I don't think he has like 140 target potential. I think he's going to do well with not a lot. I think his cap is about 100 targets. I think he could have maybe 1,000 yards receiving if things work out well. I think he should have 100 to 200 yards rushing. Disco, you're so sweet. Your friendship and knowledge is all I need too, brother. Yeah, it's definitely more than enough. I just want to let you guys know a little bit about me. I am from Bradford, Pennsylvania. I grew up my whole life in Pennsylvania for the most part. It's about 60 miles south of the Bills Stadium. I had season tickets to the Bills for 19 years. I've been playing fantasy football for about 24 years now. Right, the last 10 years, I have been doing about 30 or 40 hours a week in research, and I've been sharing that research with probably about 40 of my friends that I've made throughout the years that play fantasy. And we all, set a lot of DFS lineups and do a lot of betting. I probably do about $1,000 every week in DFS. And I probably do, about $500 every week in betting. And I've done very well for the last few years now. And my friends have done very well, and they all win all their fantasy football leagues. And I've been wanting to kind of do something and help some people because I've had a knack for this stuff. I have a very good numbers oriented mind. I've owned some businesses. I've always been able to do fantasy well. I've always done well in my drafts. So when I learned about best ball last year, I just learned about it in time to get about 40 drafts in before the season started. And when I was living in Pennsylvania, best ball wasn't really available to me. And then I moved down here to Orlando about 20 months ago or so. And when I moved down here, betting was illegal. So I got a little bit more into DFS than I was before because I couldn't bet anymore. And I started getting into this best ball stuff a little bit and some pick'em stuff. Because that was, you could do like prize picks, but you couldn't bet. So I was kind of getting my betting fix through those type of sites. And that's how I learned about Underdog because they have similar setup as prize picks. So I'm coming up here. I really need receivers. I think if I did take another running back, I would definitely have the best running back room maybe in all of this entire format. And I don't know if it's a terrible idea here. I'm on the clock. I'm pretty bullish on Khalil Shakir being a 100-target player. Last year, he had 45 targets. He had 39 catches. He had 620-ish yards. He had a handful of touchdowns, and he didn't even have he only had 5 targets in his first 6 games combined. He wasn't a part of the offense at all when Ken Dorsey was there. And as Brady took over, Khalil Shakir's role grew and grew. And at the end of the year, he was outproducing Stephon Diggs. In the last 10 games, he had most of his yards for the whole season. He outproduced Stephon Diggs in the last 10 games of the year significantly. And if I had one guess on who's going to be Josh Allen's most trusted wide receiver this year, who the guy is going to be on the field for the most plays this year, I'm guessing it's going to be Khalil Shakir. I think that he's going to have 1,000 yards. I would my hot take right now: Khalil Shakir will have 1,000 yards receiving this year. I do believe he will lead the Bills in receiving yards. I don't know if he'll lead the Bills in fantasy point production from the receiver room. I see Coleman as maybe the top red zone threat, and I see Samuel as kind of like a cheap ripoff of Deebo Samuel. And I don't know if I don't think any of those guys have enormous potential, but I think as your third or fourth receiver, when you're going kind of weak at receiver, you're in a really good spot taking Khalil Shakir. You should feel good about it. I'm on the clock again, and I'm going to drive some people crazy with this pick, but I love this guy. I think he's going to do phenomenal with New York. I think New York has something to prove. I don't have any bye week problems here by doing this. I'm going to take my 5th and final running back of this in draft. I'm not going to take another running back. And I like to do that in Underdog a lot. I like to get 5 starting running backs in any best ball league because I feel like I can build some good value late at wide receiver, tight end, QB, but I don't feel that comfortable kind of playing the lottery on RB2s and RB3s, hoping for injuries or hoping for sort of freak scenarios to happen. And I do feel pretty confident taking, some chances at some of the wide receivers that are out there. Plus I have, I got, a quarterback that has a couple receivers that don't go off the board too high. So I knew, all along that there's a good chance I can wait here and maybe get Downs or Mitchell sliding to me. And I think I'd rather have Downs than Mitchell, to be honest. But I like both those guys. I got George Kittle, Khalil Shakir, George Pickens, Amon-Ra, Singletary, White, Kamara, Williams, Taylor. I know only 3 of these guys are going to start, but I'm going to have flex completely covered. I got nothing to worry about at flex. I just have to get 3 good receiver plays. I think Amon-Ra is a lock for a top finish every week of the year for the most part. If you go back and look, he was pretty much the most consistent receiver in the league last year. He led the league in most 100-yard games last year. He's almost a lock for, 15 to 20 points every week. So you're not worried about him. George Pickens, I think that this guy is one of the best deep ball trackers in the entire league. And Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are some of the best deep ball throwers in the league, and they got nothing else. So I'm not worried about that. I already told you how much I like Shakir. I see some running backs still there, but I'm going to ignore them the rest of this draft. And I'm trying to, teach some people, that don't know how to operate this, what to do here. And I'm going to tell you right now, you don't need a 6 running back if you have 5 guys like this. You don't need to handcuff anybody. You don't have to worry about a thing. You don't want to spend any more capital at all at the running back position if you get 5 starters. You're better position than literally 99% of every single best ball team that's entered in. Very few teams are going to have 5 starting running backs. Loving what I'm seeing here. Jacoby Myers is there. Oh my God, I love Jacoby Myers. I'm definitely taking Jacoby Myers. What a great fourth wide receiver. Man, did he slide? He slid 9 spots past ADP. He always slides, and it's because of his quarterback uncertainty. I mean, nobody knows who the starter's going to be. Nobody trusts really either guy anyway. So I see Adonai Mitchell up there, but I wasn't going to take him anyway. I was kind of hoping Downs would be here, and Downs is lining up maybe to fall right into my lap. If he doesn't, I like Gabe Davis as a fifth receiver. He's a great boomer bust guy, and I think that those guys are fantastic to have. I love Leggett. I think, man, that guy looks he's got a body of a stud receiver. I don't know if I trust Bryce Young, but if Xavier Leggett was drafted by if he was drafted to the Chargers instead of McConkey, I would predict Leggett to be up there as a potential 10 touchdown rookie. I mean, he looks like T.O. or I mean, he's got a body on him. All right, I'm coming up here. I basically have to take a wide receiver in my mind. I'm at 137, and then I don't pick again till 152. I'm up next. So, if I don't want to take anybody that's within 6 picks of 152. So I'm looking here at taking Leggett. I'd take Mike Williams over Leggett, but I'm worried about his injury. And man, I'm telling you, I watched at least 20 minutes of film on every single wide receiver prospect that was in the draft, the last draft and the draft before that. And Xavier Leggett was a guy I had a draft crush on. As a Bills fan, I knew we've been really needing a receiver this year. And because of that, I spent a little extra time kind of falling in love with a lot of these prospects. Another guy I really liked was Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman's teammate. He's like the biggest receiver ever. His RAS score is out of this world. He went to Philadelphia as a late round guy. Philadelphia really doesn't have a number 3 in my mind. I'm not a real firm believer that any of the receivers there are going to stand out as a stud, that he's actually fantasy relevant. But I could see, if I was the offensive coordinator, wanting to line A.J. Brown up on one side, Johnny Wilson up on the other, and be motioning Devonta Smith. And I know that their offensive coordinator, Moore, loves to use motion. He loves to have that fast pace. He uses motion and fast pace as good as anybody. And I wouldn't be surprised if Johnny Wilson ends up catching 5 or 6 touchdowns this year as a rookie. I don't think he's going to do much. I don't think he's going to have great stats, but I think he's a great red zone threat. And as much as they need a guy, I think he could be it. Mike Williams might fall to me. He's not practicing. I'm going to start lining up my queue. I only have one tight end. He's really good. I got Kittle. I could consider maybe taking Hawkinson here. If I didn't have a tight end on my team yet, I'd maybe want to take Hawkinson here. I like to get 2 good tight ends, and I don't know when Hawkinson's going to come back healthy, but I don't want to take 3 tight ends if I can help it. And I think I'm definitely going to take Jelani Woods, so I'm just going to take Hawkinson right off the old queue. I'm going to make sure I get Jelani Woods. I'm going to take him around early, maybe 2. He's sneaky. I'm going to have Richardson, Kittle, and man meat. Bayou's man meat. I got some man meat for that guy too now. Appreciate that. I don't have any correlation here with Matt Stafford, but I like to just get 2 QBs in this format. Let's see. Let's see who's left. So Goff is gone, so I can't pair that up. Allen's gone. I don't want to pair up Vegas. I could maybe take Thielen here and target Bryce Young. Thielen could probably come back to me. I would be okay with having Young as my second quarterback in this. I'm on the clock. I think I like Matt Stafford. He just has such great potential here with his receiver room to have some boom weeks. I mean, he could throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns as well as anybody in the whole NFL. And to get him at pick 152, he was on the first place team last year in drafters as the QB2. Dak Prescott was the first quarterback. He was taken around pick 100, and Stafford was taken around the same time I just took him. And I have Kyren Williams, so I got some correlation there. Maybe if Kyren Williams doesn't have a good game, it's because Stafford did, and Kyren slips out of my lineup, but Stafford makes up for not having that stud in there. I'm okay with that. Anthony Richardson and Matthew Stafford and Jonathan Taylor and Kyren Williams. I love it. Alvin Kamara, Zamir White, and Devin Singletary fighting for that flex spot. I don't have any bye week problems at all. The only double bye week I have on this whole entire team I don't even have one yet. I thought I maybe grabbed 2 by week 11 receivers. I have absolute perfect bye week correlation going here, and it's so important. It's so important on Underdog, especially. You just want that. You have to do that. I'm on the clock. I don't love my receiver room. I'm going to go ahead and take oh, man. Do I take DeMarcus Robinson because I have Stafford and he's not going to make it back to me? Or do I take Thielen because I have Leggett? I think I'm going to take Thielen. Look, Thielen had 100 catches for 1,000 yards, and he had like 13.7 fantasy points per game last year. He was a top 30 receiver. I don't think he's going to do it again, but he's the starting slot receiver still. He's going to be on the field. I'm not buying into this. He might get traded to the Vikings crap or anything like that. Thielen's a major part of that offense. He's going to be on the field. It's going to be Deontay, Leggett, and Thielen, and then Mingo's going to probably spell Deontay and Leggett, and I think Thielen's, kind of more the guy that doesn't really need spelled. He comes off the field maybe in some obvious rundowns. I like this receiver room. I ignored it. I was worried about it, but I got Amon-Ra, Pickens, Shakir, Jacoby, Leggett, and Thielen. I got some reliable guys here with Shakir and Myers. I think I was just talking to my buddy the other day about this. The guy that I think Khalil Shakir most reminds me of is Jacoby Myers. If I wanted to give somebody my Bills fan NFL comp of Khalil Shakir and what I think his ceiling is this year, I think Khalil Shakir could have as good of a season as Jacoby Myers. And I feel like Jacoby Myers is kind of a undervalued receiver. And I think that, you know, having both of these guys here gives me a pretty good chance every week to have a decent wide receiver 3. And then Leggett gives me some chances. I think he's going to score some long touchdowns. He's going to break some tackles. Thielen's not the best receiver for this format, but don't ever count him out. If Demarcus Robinson's still there, I'm going to take him, I think. You can't ever have too many good receivers here. One thing I want to do is make sure I get some guys in my queue. I'm not doing a good job of that. I want to get Man-Meat in there. Heck, if I miss my pick and it autos me him, I'm not even upset. It's cool. Stafford, Richardson. Oh, I'm just going to throw Parkinson in my queue. I don't want 3 tight ends. Demarcus Robinson is the #1 receiver on the board. He's a little after ADP. I have Stafford. I don't really have any other correlation. He had 4 touchdowns in 5-game span last year. Once he started being the wide receiver 3, I'm just going to go ahead and take him. I'm just looking for a few good weeks, guys. We're at a point here. We're in round 15. If the difference between winning your league is just a handful of points. Winning this whole tournament might be a half a point. So I think you want some correlation, but you also want to make sure you're not reaching for it. So that was a good job there. I almost took him early, and I'm glad I didn't take him early. Okay, so here I am. It's round 16, so I have 3 picks left. So now I gotta start getting real technical here. I gotta start really looking at what I have. We got Anthony Richardson and Matt Stafford, Taylor and Kyron, Kamara, White, and Singletary. What a nice top group of the top 7 guys there. It's hard to beat. I might be able to take 3 tight ends with this team. I don't see why I can't. I could take Woods and Parkinson, and between those 2 guys, I'd have all the correlation at tight end for both my QBs. And I like the correlation better at tight end sometimes than receiver because everybody seems to have the receiver correlation. So when that goes off, it's not that unique. But not as many people are going to have Colby Parkinson and Matt Stafford as they do, you know, Puka or, you know, Cup. So if Parkinson has a 20-point game and Stafford has a 40-point game, you know, you're going to have the chance there to have a pretty unique point situation helping you out. Let's pick 186. I'm on the clock. I don't pick again till 200. Jelani Woods goes at 209. I'm just going to go ahead and reach on him. He's been going a little early lately. I don't think that's a big deal. You want to get your guys down here in the 16th, 17th, 18th round. You can throw ADP completely out the window. If somebody gets a hot report in camp, their ADP is shot at this point, and everybody starts liking a guy. You can forget about getting them even close to ADP, and Jelani Woods is definitely a guy that everybody's starting to all of a sudden like. So I'm not taking any chances. Jelani Woods at pick 185 is not a bad value. I'm not going to be upset over that. I needed it. I'd have been pissed if I didn't have it on my team. So just go ahead and do that. Colby Parkinson's a little bit different story, but the only way in my mind that I was going to be able to get Parkinson is if I took Woods right there, because at my pick 200, I don't pick again until 209. Parkinson's at 206. There's another guy that's kind of a hot name right now. Isaiah Likely, Chig, Juwan Johnson, Gasecki are all above him. And I don't think that anybody there is an absolute lock. So I might push Parkinson to the last round, though. I don't think anybody's going to reach for him unless they have Stafford, and I have Stafford. So, all right. So right now, I'm good at quarterback, but man, let's just take a look at him real quick. I'm up in 6 picks. I got a great running back room. I definitely don't need to even think about anything there. My quarterbacks, I like them. But I'm not opposed to 3 QBs if I like the rest of my team enough. I know I need to have 8 receivers. So, one thing that I'm debating right here is if Bryce Young falls, I'll be getting him after ADP. I have Thielen and Leggett, so I already have correlation there. AP, is this a Garrett Wilson fader? I appreciate you being here, AP. I didn't go off on Garrett Wilson. I don't have a problem with Garrett Wilson. I'm just going to be the guy that everybody remembers when Garrett Wilson is not a top 10 receiver. And you should all thank me for that because Garrett Wilson has no chance of being a top 10 receiver. So I'm just trying to help you guys out. I'm not gonna project a guy that was 4th in the NFL in targets and finished as the 36th highest scoring PPR receiver in points per game to take that dramatic of a leap just because Aaron Rodgers. Bryce Young. I'm going to take Bryce Young here. All right, so that takes Parkinson, I think, out of the picture for me. But I'm going to leave him on there because if I screw this all up and it auto picks for me, at least it picked Parkinson, right? So that's why the Q is important. I did a terrible job with the Q this draft. On Underdog, you want to use your Q, especially if you're new to drafting. You want to stay ahead of the game. I didn't do a good job with that. I'm just kind of rambling on here, and I wasn't paying attention to the draft because I've done 260 drafts. So, you're going to have to pay better attention if you haven't done 260 drafts, and you're going to have to use your Q a little bit better than I did. So I apologize for not doing that as well as I should have. If you're new to fantasy and you're watching this video, I know my boys watching me right now are not new and they don't need that advice, but I'm trying to gear this stuff up for, a noob that wants to get into Underdog and wants to try to take a shot at the $1.5 million. What's up, Hot Take? It's good to see you back, man. I appreciate you guys so much. I don't deserve this love. Parkinson's a good value pick by you, right? But let me ask you this. Would you do it with only 7 receivers? I'm okay with 7 receivers in Underdog only. My receivers are Amon-Ra, Pickens, Shakir, Myers, Leggett, Thielen, and Demarcus Robinson. So I got some correlation. I like Khalif Raymond here. I'm going to take Khalif Raymond because I have Amon-Ra, and I'm a big Khalif Raymond guy when I have Amon-Ra. That gives me the number 1 and the number 3 there. And that, in my mind, if Amon-Ra has a bad game, then maybe it's because Khalif Raymond had his 1 or 2 good games of the year. So now I've locked up, 2 of the starting 3 receivers on on that offense with a good quarterback. And I think they're playing something like 13 dome games this year. And Khalif Raymond screams dome wide receiver. Khalif, let me tell you something about Khalif Raymond. Khalif Raymond had a really good Pro Football Focus grade. His grade was, I think, like top 25. I can look it up, but I was just looking at this the other day. I'm sure of this. He had a much higher grade than you think, and I saw some charts of just players in general that got open, regardless of how well they did. And he was up among the top of the charts of being open. AP, exactly. You must have seen the exact same thing. 2583 is my favorite layout on Underdog. I agree by you. I like 2583 a lot. I like 2682. I'm a big bully tight end guy, and I know that you like to get some of that late round value at tight end. So I think that you'd understand why I might go 2682 or 2592. And I understand why you go 2583 or something like that. All right, so it is over. That draft is over, and it just disappeared. So I'm just going to go straight to the lobby, and I'm just going to hop in another here. And I'm just going to keep this thing going, and I don't expect anybody that doesn't want to hang to continue to hang, but I'm going to hop in here. Does anybody want to hop in here too? Does anybody want me to wait a second for you? I'll tell you what. I'll just wait like a minute. So if anybody wants to hop in on this, we have a better chance of getting in the same draft because these fill very fast, way faster than any other site. I've never waited more than 2 minutes, I don't think, for a Best Ball Mania 5 draft to fill. Since the second it was launched, it just keeps filling. So, all right, these are $25. They're a little steep. I hear you, Bayou. I didn't even read that, and I looked up, and you just wrote what I just said. 25 a pop is a little rich for my blood too, but you know what? I was thinking about it, and I'm going to max out the drafters thing, and I want to at least do like, I think 50 of these. I want to at least do 50 of these. I'm up to, let's see how many I'm up to. Is it results? Is it live? NFL drafts. What is it? Completed? I do everything on my mobile app, so okay, here we go. Completed. All right. Looks like I am in 18 Best Ball Manias so far. So I got in a lot of these cheaper ones. I got into a single entry, $35. I got in anyone that has one entry, I think, was just maybe a single entry tournament. I really like those. I get into some of these cheaper ones just to learn how everything works before I start to get into the Best Ball Mania. And let me tell you something about the Best Ball Mania is this last few nights around like 11 o'clock at night, I've been liking to go on and do a Best Ball Mania and a DraftKings draft because the people in there drafting suck. Hot take, what's a DFS? Or that is Daily Fantasy League. So basically, I have a website that I'm just about ready to launch, and I'm going to be writing some blogs I'm going to get queued up here. I'm going to be writing 4 different blogs every week. 2 of them are going to be Daily Fantasy League content, and 2 of them are going to be betting content. So what I want to do is I want to try to help as many people as possible. And I just want to share the research I do. I'm already doing like 30 hours of research a week, and I just want to help more people. So I got a website I'm building. It looks pretty good. I'm pretty proud of it. I got you know, a new X. I canceled both my old X accounts and just started this NFL DFS picks. And I started some other social medias. I changed my YouTube name on my channel over. I'm in the queue here. There's 4 in the room. If anybody wants to hop in, it'll fill fast. So basically, I'm going to do some videos. I'm going to try to help some people. I'm going to kind of do my own version of like of 5 sleeper guys that you need to target in DFS. I'm going to mostly use DraftKings is the site that I use for all my DFS stuff. I get in their tournaments. I like their single entry tournaments. I get in like the $100 single entries, the $50 single entries. I get into those a little bit pricier tournaments every week, and I've done really well with them. I won $10,000 back-to-back years just on the $100 single entry tournament. I was in first place all the way up until like 10 seconds left in the game. I was in first place for an hour and 45 minutes, dude. I was pacing around my house sweating. I was dripping sweat. I had called like my 5 best friends and was just so effing hyped. And then right at the very end of a completely blowout Raiders game, I think it was Jacoby Myers caught a ball on a screen, broke a tackle, ran for like 40 yards. I ended up getting knocked all the way down to, I think, 4th place, and I won $10,000 in that. That was insane. The other time I won $10,000 was this last year, and I really wasn't in first place, but I had a good team going early in the day, and I knew I had a chance. I knew I had a chance to finish high. Okay, it looks like this thing is just filled. I got the 3 spot this time. So anyway, I'm going to do a lot of betting stuff too. I'm going to do a weekly parlay that's called the Millionaire Maker. And what that's going to be is it's going to be one thing from every single game that I like the most. And I've been going after this for a few years now, and I like to just pick one thing from every game. It can be anything. It could be a teased prop even. I do a lot of teased props on these just to make it safer because it's so many things. But, you know, it could be a Christian McCaffrey touchdown. It could be the Cowboys to cover the spread. It could be the Bills +3 in a game they're favored to win. I mean, whatever really I feel 100% for sure about. I try to put it on a parlay, and then I like to try to bet enough money on that parlay to make at least $100,000. And I've taken some chances at $1 million, and I've been really close. I've hit 15 out of 16 things. I've hit 13 and 14 out of 16 things a ton of times. And we're going to track my success. I'm gonna hold myself accountable. I got Tyreek Hill here. I'm going to take Tyreek Hill because he has such great boomer bust potential, and I want boomer bust guys, especially early. I can fill in some good steady eddies and later on in the draft. But I'm going to be doing another article every week of just player props that I really like, overs and unders on, and we're going to track all of my picks on all of it. I'm going to hold myself accountable, and I'm going to put myself out there, and I believe I'm going to do very well. I believe I'll have very high target percentages of hitting these bets, and I believe that if you were to just take all of my bets and bet singles on them, you would win a very high percentage of your bets, like 70, 80%. Where you can get in trouble is like what I like to do, and that's using, too many people in a parlay, getting too greedy. I personally really like to chase the big wins. I prefer to set like all my bets to where I win at least $1,000. I like to win $1,000 on all my bets. Bayou, I don't know if I'm going to the expo, man. I would love to. I didn't look at the plane tickets yet. I'm going to look up the dates here, maybe tonight after I'm done streaming. And if I can, I'm going to go. If I can, I would love to go, man. I would love to go. I'm a real people person. You put me in a room full of of a bunch of people that are into the same thing as me, and I'm guaranteed to meet every single person that looks at me. And if we all get the chance to hang out, man, by the time that we leave that expo, we will be so freaking tight. I have so much fun if we go out and we drink and we go out and we have fun. It will be one of the funnest nights ever because I know how to party, man. I'm telling you, I lived the life. I'm 43. I have a 6-year-old daughter, and I did not have to grow up until I was like 37. And man, I went to like 1,000 concerts. I used to have, I was in a fraternity. I used to have a party at my house every Wednesday for like 5 years straight. We called it Weed and Wine Wednesday. And we used to play wine pong, which is beer pong, but with wine. And the rest is self-explanatory. I won't get into that too much here. Man, I am so high on Malik Neighbors all of a sudden. He looks incredible. I'm just gonna reach. I'm not reaching, but I'm gonna take him, man. I just love Malik Neighbors right now. Ah, man. I'm just sitting here looking at the board, and it was. I should have taken Devontae Adams. I was scrolled down in my queue and I didn't see that he was there. I would have taken Devontae Adams over Malik Neighbors. I saw DK Metcalf, Malik Neighbors, and Cooper Kupp, and I made a mistake there. But it's okay. It's okay. I can salvage this draft. I'm going to get another receiver in this draft. I went running back heavy last time. I'm going to go receiver heavy this time just to kind of show how to do each one. So if you're watching this video, I'm going to try to help you out here. Man, I love Mike Evans and I love DK Metcalf. I'm going to take Evans just because he's like a lock. I think Metcalf has a higher ceiling, but I think Evans has just as good a potential to have the spike weeks. And I think he's maybe a little bit better lock for 10 touchdowns. I just don't trust Geno Smith. I don't trust Baker Mayfield either, though. So there's that. I got Tyreek Hill, Malik Neighbors, and Mike Evans. 2 by week 11s. So I hate that. I screwed that up. I'm just rambling on here, and I should not have taken Evans. I would have taken DK if I would have looked at that bye week situation. I should have. That's a big mistake that you don't want to make. It's okay to have 2 guys with the same bye week. It's not a big deal. However, I hate doing it with bye week 11 because all of my favorite late round wide receiver values seem to be bye week 11 guys. Like, for instance, I'll tell you about some of them here. I mean, I'm talking late rounds, right? I'm talking like the guys that round out your roster, right? Xavier Legette, I grabbed him. Adam Thielen, another late round guy I've been grabbing a lot. Michael Wilson, grabbing him all the time. Greg Dortch, grabbing him all the time. Darius Slayton, one of my favorite boomer bust late round guys. He's the fastest receiver on that team. He's faster than Hyatt, just so you know. Slayton's the deep threat. Hyatt is a good young deep threat, but Slayton is the fastest receiver on that team. It's his job. He's an 800-yard receiver, I think. So I like him late. So yeah. So just to tell you why I hated that so much is because now in my mind, it's taken all those guys off the table for me. So what am I going to do? Okay. So what am I going to do to battle that? Because I know at the end of this draft, I'm not hot take. I know, right? I love Neighbors. All right. That is for all you guys. You guys get that. So what I got to do to battle that is I gotta do better at receiver than I normally would. So I don't have to worry about those late round guys, right? Maybe I can get some correlation instead, right? But I wouldn't mind having Neighbors and Slayton. So maybe I get 9 receivers in this team. I go 2, 5, 9. Can I do that? 2, 5, 9. Yeah, 2, 5, 9, 2, right? I could do that. Maybe I'll go 2, 5, 9, 2, and it'll be okay. I can get Slayton. All right, so I'm up next. I'm doing a terrible job, 2 drafts in a row using my queue, even though this site sucks compared to drafters. Underdog, you got to do better. You got to just put this out here so we can easily see everybody better. It's got to be easier to pick people. You guys gear everything to your mobile app and it shows. You guys need better people on this. I don't understand. So whatever I do, no bye week 11 receivers. I can wait on tight end and still get a great tight end. I want to get a good running back. I have to get a good running back. I like Josh Jacobs, man. I do. I like Josh Jacobs. I'm going to take Josh Jacobs. I think that he's got really good potential. Let me say something else about Josh Jacobs. I think his handcuff's still AJ Dillon. And yeah, I'm impressed with Marshawn Lloyd too. So, I mean, Marshawn Lloyd, Jacobs, and AJ Dillon are 3 of the biggest, strongest, toughest running backs in the league. So I don't see them having a real need for a change of pace guy out of the 3, right? I think that they're set up to be in a bell cow situation. My personal opinion. All right. Mahomes, Kirk, Kincaid. I got Hill, Nabbers, Evans, and Jacobs. You know, I really feel like I got to make sure I get some good running backs, but man, they're way down the board. I'm going to take Keenan Allen. Big Keenan Allen fan. I know some of you guys are too. You know, he is in a good spot, man. I mean, Herbert was a good quarterback, and he was in a good spot in that system, and they used him well. But I think most of the fantasy community that I'm involved with agrees that he has a good chance of being the go-to target there. Caleb Williams has, you know, he's going to lean on the shorter, easier to hit, great route runner, and he's one of the best route runners with some of the best hands. He's going to be the security blanket. I could see him still having close to 100 catches, even as a rookie, if Caleb Williams pans out. So I'm pretty good there at wide receiver. I could have had maybe DK Metcalf instead of Nabbers, but we'll see. I think that Malik has the chance to set the rookie record for targets. I think he could be a 10 target a game guy. Stephon Diggs was a 10 target a game guy in Buffalo with Brian Daboll. And I don't see anybody else really on that team that Daboll is going to lean on for a heavy role. So he knows how to feed the number 1 guy. Camp, he looks amazing. So this is like, this whole site compared to drafters, I don't want to complain because I'm trying to do a little help you guys out here, but you know, if you want to do easier to learn place for getting into best ball, and it's a little less money, and you still have some great chances at winning some big prizes. Go over to Drafters Fantasy and sign up. And if you are new to Drafters Fantasy, you can use promo code NFLDFSPicks for 100% deposit match on your first deposit. It's a much easier to use site. It's just easier to click on, get good information from people. It's easier to organize things. You can see a lot more. You can see a lot more players. Here, you just kind of like, if you're not paying attention, it just kind of comes up on you real fast. I'm picking in 2 picks. I want one of these good tight ends, Pitts, Kittle, or Ingram. But I think I'm going to take whatever one slides. If one slides, shit, Kittle just went. So we got what? Mark's got a tight end already. I only got 2 teams ahead of me with the tight end. So I'm gonna push Pitts and Ingram and hope that both of those guys wait around. And I'm gonna take Kamara here again. How am I at running back? 10, bye week 10. So I got Jacobs and Kamara bye week 10 and 12. I'm gonna try to stay a little more patient at quarterback in this draft, but if somebody slides and I get correlation, maybe I'll do it. I want a tight end with my next pick, and they just took one, and he doubled up on tight end. So he went bully tight end and just screwed me probably. This guy might reach and take Ingram now if he wants tight end. I'm hoping to get Ingram about value here, so that might help me. People don't like to reach. And look at me. I'm going to start using my Q. I'm a bastard. You fucking asshole. I knew it was going to happen. So now what? I'm on the clock. I don't pick again until 94. 94. Is that right? Yeah, I don't pick again until 94. Ferguson's going at 84. I have to have a good tight end in these leagues or else I'm not going to like my team. I don't want to be patching that together. I'm going to reach a little bit. I'm going to get Ferguson. I hate it. If Njoku makes it to my second pick, 99, I might consider him too. I like bully tight end and Underdog because I don't like taking more than 2 tight ends. And drafting Ferguson there kind of opens the door for Dak if he's still left. Dak's still left. So I'm picking at 94. Dak's ADP's 95.3. He's a guy I'm considering maybe when it comes back to me. I think that Dak Prescott's a win your fantasy league type of quarterback. And I don't think Tua is, so I'm not going to go for Tua. I don't think Daniel Jones is. I'm not going to go for him. I don't think Baker Mayfield is. I'm not going to go for him. I don't know if Caleb Williams is. He might be a guy I consider if he slips to my 3 picks from now. I could maybe nab up Dak and then another running back. And then maybe Caleb. I like to look at some possibilities here. Bayou in the weekly winners, dude. I love weekly winners, man. Let me know what you're doing in there. Tell me your strategy once you figure it out. Are you gonna? I think you got to let a few things happen before you go with the strategy there. But you can just start right off with a strategy, and it's not a bad draft to do that in. It might be the only draft that I know of that's a good idea to just go ahead and start right off with a. So the question is, was Dak slide to me at 99? Gosh, last time I tried this, it bit me in the ass. I'm going to do it, though, I think. I'm going to take Dak. I'm going to take Dak because I'm hoping that Njoku makes it back to me, and I want to go bully tight end. And that's why I took Dak there. It wasn't a reach. He was at value. I got a quarterback now that I feel like I can win this league with. So, that's a key. I got a good running back room to start. I like my receivers. I've had better, but if Nabbers has 160 targets, I like this receiver room as much as any receiver room I've ever had. So there's a big if there. Disco, I treat weekly winners like DFS and attack certain bye weeks. I feel I have favorable matchups. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Disco. I don't think there's a bad strategy in weekly winners. There's so many good strategies in weekly winners. You could play it balanced. You could just try to win weeks 12 or 14 because there's so many bye weeks that week. Usually what I do is I'm going to just start calling him. What did you just say, Nabbers? I'm just going to start calling him everything in the book and go by Sleaze's rule of thumb that you all will know what we're talking about just to prove his point. Here we are. Njoku. I'm going to take him. I love it when a plan comes together. I thought he'd fall. I got my bully tight end. This is in my opinion, the shittiest bully tight end room that you can get. I think that Ferguson and Njoku are the last of the great tight ends. And I think that I see some tiers being made, right? But I don't like any tier at all in the first tier to not include those two guys. I feel like these two guys could both be top 5 tight ends. I could see a path for both ends. And as far as targets go, out of this world targets. Njoku, I can't even click on the players. I hate this format. I just hate it. I hate the setup here. I prefer to do the mobile app. So if you're just watching this for some learning experience, and take my advice and do your draft on the mobile app on Underdog. It's easier to use. You can interact with it a lot better. It's just better than doing it on your laptop. I bet you I might even be able to get the mobile app version on here somehow if I figured that out. Disco, is Bowers not in that tight end here? Good question. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I want to see it first. Bowers is the next guy I like after that tier. How about I put it that way? I got that tier of, Kelsey, Ingram, Kittle, Ferguson, Njoku, all those guys. And then right when that tier ends, I like Goddard, and I also like Bowers, and then maybe Schultz, right? Maybe Schultz. Bayou, I agree. Bowers was so highly drafted. They'll give him plenty of targets. I agree. And they're probably going to gear their offense up to have a lot of 12 personnel. They have, two first-round tight ends back-to-back years, I believe, right? Or was Mayer a high second-round pick? Either way, tons of capital invested at tight end. So, you know, I see their room a lot like Kincaid and Knox in Buffalo, except for Josh Allen's such a better situation than their quarterback situation. And I just think that Bowers has got a lot of potential to be a really good player that does a lot of really good things. But I don't want to put him in that tier yet. I don't like moving guys up unless I can picture a world where they have an unbelievable target share. And I don't picture a world where Bowers has, let's say, more than 90 targets as a rookie. I think 90 targets is a ceiling. Okay, so here I am. I'm up. I got Gus Bus. I got Zeke. I got Chubb. I want a running back here. I'm a little bit more comfortable with Zeke, I think, at this point. I like Gus Bus, but I'm a little worried about Dobbins and Vidal. And I'm a little bit worried about Gus Bus not having a big role in the passing game. I think the most catches he's ever had in a season is like 13. So, he's a touchdown dependent guy, and I like that. He can probably score a dozen touchdowns maybe, but I think Ezekiel Elliott can also catch 50 or 60 balls. He had really great hands last year in New England, and I was really impressed. The second string quarterback there basically is a dump off machine, and Elliott was just raking in incredible catch numbers. All right, so I have Prescott, Jacobs, Kamara, Elliott, Tyreek Hill. My buys at running back 10, 12, 7. Oh, Gus Bus is still there. So all this shit I was talking on Gus Bus, I wasn't talking shit on you, bro. I love you. I got you in too many drafts, but we're going to take you because I think that my biggest draft strategy in the whole entire world in every draft that I do in best ball is to try to get 5 starting running backs if I can, and it barely ever works out. But if you look at my teams, you will see a commitment to trying to get number 1 running backs before it's too late. And when I get into this like 100 to 135 range, I am desperately trying to get another starting running back. And there's some guys that I'm just not taking. Like, for example, I'm not taking Jerome Ford. I'm not taking Rico Dowdle. I'm not taking Charbonnet. I'm not taking Ty Chandler that much unless I screw up running back. Then I think he's a good guy to take that. If I screw everything up, that could work out. But see, once I get 5 starting running backs, if that's possible, then I just leave running back alone. So I don't have like a love affair with any of these late round guys like you guys might, right? Like you guys probably I hear, Sleaze was telling me that he's got a big thing for Tyrone Tracy this year. I'd rather take Chuba Hubbard. I'd rather take Chuba Hubbard than Kendra Miller, Jalen Wright, Algier, Vidal, Lloyd. I'd rather take Chuba Hubbard than Jerome Ford, straight up. I know you guys are probably going to roast me for that, but I would rather take Chuba Hubbard than Jerome Ford, because here's why. Hubbard, they just haven't been able to take that guy off the field. No matter what's happened, he's ended up being the best guy. And he reminds me of Freddie Jackson when Freddie Jackson played for the Bills. And the Bills brought in like CJ Spiller and Marshawn Lynch and all these guys, but man, they just couldn't take Fred Jackson off the field. They got the same running style. They got like that low hips, upright chest, fall forward for 1 or 2 extra yards every time they touch the ball. He's super efficient. I think that Chuba Hubbard is this year's Zach Moss. Right? I don't think Jerome Ford is this year's Zach Moss. I think Jerome Ford Jerome Ford really screwed things up for a lot of my fantasy teams last year. I'll start off by saying that. I had Chubb in a bunch of drafts, and I had him handcuffed with Ford, or I grabbed Ford when he went down. And, the line's good. So when I do my research, he shows up as a guy that I should start. And so, I do my research every week, and I share all my research with everybody. And I tell everybody to start Jerome Ford every week because the line's great and they had a good matchup. And Jerome Ford looked like he was going to do great. And he only scored 15 points or more 4 times all season. And the first time was in week 2 when Chubb got hurt, like on the first freaking play of the game, basically. So he wasn't in people's lineups for that. So they only got 3 good starts out of him in 14 games, right? So if you had Ford in your lineup, chances are you lost more games because of him than you won. And best ball, he probably only played it very most for you 4 times the whole entire season. So, do you want to take a guy at pick 100 that probably has a ceiling of only playing 4 times? Because Chubb's coming back, and when Chubb's come back, he's going to have that job, right? I got Dak. I'm on the clock here. I like Downs, and I like Leggett. I'm just going to take Leggett. Oh, wait, I can't take Leggett. I got to take Downs. I already have bye week 11 problems at receiver. Thankfully, I remembered that last second, but I think Josh Downs is a good guy to maybe crack 900 yards on that team. I think he did it as a rookie. What's up, JC? It's good to see you, man. Bayou Bengal, he says, after this weekly winners, I may run $2 drafts the rest of the night. Cool, Bayou. Very cool, man. If you want to stream any, let me know. I think I'm going to quit after this. I'm going to continue drafting all night, though, but I don't want to be continuing to spend the kind of money that Underdog charges to do fantasy. So I'm gonna move over to a different platform. I might do some DraftKings drafts. I've been really getting some good teams. I feel like there's a bunch of newbies drafting right now, especially on the weekends at night. All right, so here I am again. I'm on the clock. Clock's ticking down here. I'm going to cue Stafford because I know I'd be good with that pick. And this is 2 drafts in a row that I'm going to take Stafford really with no correlation. But I just feel like, Stafford as your second quarterback is a darn good spot to be. And you can just quit. Now you can just quit, right? And if I want to take another QB, it's okay because I have a bully tight end room, right? So I like to go, 2 and 2 at QB and tight end and underdog. So I have a bunch of roster spots for running backs and wide receivers. But if I took another tight end here or another QB here, it would only be because Deshaun Watson slipped to me. That would be the only reason I would consider a third quarterback. Maybe if Baker Mayfield is like 15 past ADP or Daniel Jones is like 15 past ADP and I want to grab Slayton too, I could maybe do a little something there with that. But like I said, I'm always trying to get 5 running backs, and here I am. I have 4, right? I just, you can't get 5. It's hard, right? So it's fine not getting 5, right? But I'm in a good spot that I committed to getting 4, and I can always get 4 or 5 starting running backs and a bully tight end room in almost every draft. So you can build these teams up the way that you feel comfortable. Dobbins just went at 155. I feel like that's pretty early. Watson just went, so that throws that third quarterback out the window. Probably leaning away from that pretty heavy now because I wouldn't have minded having Dak and Ferguson and Njoku and Watson there, but I don't have the strongest depth at receiver yet, but this is just how I draft. Okay, so if you pay attention to my drafts, you'll find that I like to get 3 or 4 good receivers, and then I'm okay leaving that alone a little bit, and I'll take some values as they slip. But I'm perfectly fine with getting 4 receivers and just kind of chilling on it and filling out the rest of my team. And I like going just wide receiver with my first 4 picks a lot of times. I think that's a great strategy, and a lot of times when I do that, I can still get 2 good tight ends and 4 starting running backs. So in my first 10 picks, I can get 4 starting receivers, 4 starting running backs, and 2 starting tight ends. And then when quarterback comes, I'm in round 11, and I still have some good options. I can still push it if I want. If I'm in round 11, I still might be able to get a good running back as my 5th running back. I don't have to force quarterback yet. And that's how I like to draft. I like to draft, I like to try to stay patient at quarterback. All of the teams I don't like the most are the ones where I got crazy and did a bunch of, like bully quarterback builds on. And I always feel like those teams kind of stink. So there's no good value at quarterback at all. Right. So I'm glad I have 2 good QBs. McLaughlin's out here. Quentin Johnson's out here. Wandale. I'm going to take a little chance on Quentin Johnson. I know his stock is just going backwards right now. But you know what? I don't trust DJ Chark to stay on the field, and I trust Justin Herbert. And I think that he's the deep threat in that offense. And I think that Johnston and Chark share that role this year. And I think that combined, they'll have 1,000 yards and close to 10 touchdowns. So if you can get Johnston without any bye week problems and have him be your first bye week 5 receiver, I like now targeting like round 18 DJ Chark. And now I feel like, I got a pretty good position here between the two. I think that one of them might pan out of the two more often than a lot of other situations in the league. Same with Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch. I really see a great opportunity in putting those 2 guys together. Okay, so I'm on the clock again. Drafts is just flying by. I'm set at tight end. I could get a handcuff running back here maybe. I really need another good receiver, I feel like. I don't love any of these guys, though. Like, the receivers just, like, really went. I think I'm going to take Marvin Mims here. Whew! Just barely got that off, guys. I had a half a second, I think. All right, so I'm done with 15. I got 3 more picks left. I already know what I want. I want A.J. Dillon. I know I want A.J. Dillon. That's one of the guys I'm trying to get. Dude, guys, I was saying earlier, I lost my train of thought there about A.J. Dillon. I wanted to finish. A.J. Dillon, I just saw a picture of him today, and I know this is just a bunch of, training camp hype, but the dude is jacked this year. He came into camp like 7 pounds less than he had been before. He's a big guy. He's like 243 pounds, and he has 4% body fat. And his got the thickest thighs in the entire NFL at running back. He's thicker than Ramondre Stevenson. The guy, I don't think he's willing to give up the number 2 job to Marshawn Lloyd. And Marshawn Lloyd's had fumbling problems his whole career. I don't trust him at all. I feel like Lloyd is going to fumble in practice, and the coach is not going to have any of that. He's not going to like that at all. And I want to take him. I can get him super late. I can get him in round 18, almost for sure. And that will give me that run game all locked up, I think. I like Green Bay's run game. I'm not ready to pass the torch over to Lloyd yet, though. Kamara, same with Kamara. I wouldn't hate a round 18 Jamal Williams here. If somebody were to take Dillon, I'd consider that. And I still might do them both because I don't really trust Zeke and I can't get Dowdle. And I don't really trust Edwards. And I can't get Vidal. And I can't get Dobbins. And I think that I'd rather personally take and lock up Green Bay and New Orleans touchdowns and running back room. And I think that grabbing Jamal Williams probably locks up all their rushing touchdowns between him and Kamara. And I think grabbing A.J. Dillon locks up all their rushing touchdowns besides Jacobs. So I could see some value there. And I don't mind going 2-6, 8-2, which is kind of my plan here. So I got 2-4-7-2 right now. I'm pretty sure I'm just going to take Slayton here and lock up Slayton. I like Slayton. I think he's undervalued. And I look at all these guys. I could have taken Chark there. I'm going to put Chark in my queue. I'm going to put Dortch. I can't put Dortch in my queue. I got too many by week 11 guys already. Sleaze, I know you love Tracy, man. You know what? I watched so the other day when I think I shared a video with you of the other backup there, and I watched, that video I shared with you. I watched that, and then I went and watched some film of Tracy next because I didn't want to, I didn't want to take that stance and then really feel like an idiot because Tracy looks so good. And I hadn't watched a lot of Tracy, to be honest with you. I probably only watched maybe 4 minutes of Tyrone Tracy highlights before that. And I watched about 20 minutes of Tyrone Tracy highlights after I sent you that Eric Gray video. And I was impressed with Tracy. I after I watched that, I think I messaged you something like, I think that whole room's in better hands than most people give him credit for. I think that they got 3 good backs there. And, Tracy played wide receiver before he played running back. And when my first thing that I thought was when I was watching Gray's film, he's a great receiver. So at first I was like, okay, well, I thought Tracy was this great receiver and he played receiver and all this. And I was thinking he'd be the receiving back. But once I saw Gray, I was like, well, he's just as good of a receiver as Tracy from what I'm seeing here. So that was my first thing I thought. And then I liked Gray's instincts and his vision. And I liked how he worked the holes and how he broke tackles and how he got to the second level. And I liked his vision the most out of anything. And then Tracy, I seen him just kind of running in space a lot on the videos. And I was starting to think that maybe this guy is just a guy that, was a product of some great blocking with that Iowa O-line. And then about, 10 minutes into the highlights, dude started breaking tackles like crazy. And I was really impressed. He's bigger and stronger than I thought he was. I wanted to mentally project Tracy out into a wide receiver frame, but that's really not him. He doesn't have a wide receiver frame at all. So I feel pretty good about that room. I don't know if I think I like Gray because the value. Tracy's sitting here in this underdog, but he's gone in round 16 in drafters. And then Gray's available in round 20. And Gray's number 2 on the depth chart. And Gray was there last year. So I'm just going to go with the depth chart. I know Brian Daboll's tendencies and his styles, and I could see him going to Gray. I don't know. I think he likes a more physical running back. Devin Singletary is more physical than you want to give him credit for. He breaks a lot of tackles. I always thought he could do more in Buffalo. Okay, I'm in the last round, last pick. I'm coming up here fast. I got Jalen Tolbert and Jamal Williams in my queue. I got Dak here, so Tolbert's pretty tempting. I think I'm going to go Tolbert here if both guys are still left. I'm up next. That'll give me Dak, Tolbert, and Ferguson. I like a little correlation there. I don't have any with Stafford, so I'm going to go ahead and take that. And my team, real quick, before we go, I don't think I got anybody else in the room with me. Dak Prescott, Matt Stafford. With Dak, I got Zeke, I got Tolbert, and I got Ferguson. So I got a mega Cowboy stack here. I'm just missing CeeDee Lamb. I basically have the whole offense minus Lamb. Why does that just disappear like that? Gosh darn it. Man, that's another thing I hate about Underdog. As soon as the draft's over, everything just disappears. So now what? I got to go into here and what? Click on here. Okay. So I got Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara, Ezekiel Elliott, Gus Bus, and I got Dylan to lock up Green Bay's backfield. I like that. That's a cold weather team. I could see him leaning on the run some in the end of the year, right when I really need it. I could see Jacobs getting dinged up and Dylan being big in the end. Tyreek Hill. I got Neighbors. Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Josh Downs, Quentin Johnson, Marvin Mims, Darius Slayton, Jalen Tolbert. I don't love how the back end of this receiver room turned out, but I could see Downs having maybe 900 yards. I could see Mims maybe having 700 yards. I could see Slayton having 900 yards. I could see Quentin Johnson scoring 6 or 7 long touchdowns. I could see Tolbert being the number 2 there. Brandon Cooks is kind of getting old, and I could see Dak feeding a slot guy just as much as I could see him turning Cooks into, what he once was. This bully tight end build, it's not the biggest bully, but I think it's the best value you can get at bully tight end. I waited till pick 75, and I was able to still accomplish a tight end room that I feel super confident with just keeping 2 with. So I was able to go 2 tight end and 2 quarterback here, which I really like. I prefer to do that. And last draft, I took the third QB, and this draft, I took Jalen Tolbert for some Dak correlation. I probably could have gotten maybe Bo Nix there and had some correlation with Marvin Mims. Or, there was a chance that I maybe could have snuck Daniel Jones on the team, but I noticed QBs went way too high, and Jones was like the top QB left on the board at round like 13. So I gave up that idea pretty quick. Good team. You just never know how these could work out. I think it has a chance. Prescott and Stafford. Got the Green Bay's room. I got Kamara. I got Zeke and Gus Bus. I could have legit Jacobs, Kamara, Elliott, and Edwards and Dylan could score 50 touchdowns. And I know that's a bold take, but they could. Jacobs could score 12. Kamara could score 10. Elliott could score 12. Gus could score 12, and Dylan could score a handful too. Tyreek Hill is just a beast. All right. Sleazeball. Tracy is shifty in space and can break tackles as well. I see him taking the job, honestly. Like, you mean like taking the job from Devin Singletary? It's not happening, dude. But I will say this. If you're right about that, You know, I've been trying to think of who is the next Kyron Williams, right? And I was thinking, what was the circumstances for Kyron Williams coming into the league last year? And the circumstances were essentially a running back room that the coach wasn't real high on the number one running back, maybe didn't have a great relationship with. And there might have been a guy there with some decent talent, but there was something going on with the coach and the running back. And, I was thinking Singletary and Dayball are definitely not that. If anything, Singletary is Dayball's guy, man. They love each other. When he was the offensive coordinator in Buffalo, Singletary had over 1,040 yards every year combined, and they always had a better complementary back than Tracy and Gray have. So I could see this year Singletary getting 80% plus touches, and I could see Singletary finishing as a top 15 running back based on volume. I don't think he's a top 15 talent, but there's a lot of guys in the league that just aren't getting the volume to match up with their talent. And if you go and you look at like the last 2 years scoring, if you stayed healthy for all the games and you started all the games, you ended up as a top 15 back. So, that's one thing that I think of when I think of the Giants running back room. I think of how good of a relationship Singletary and their coach has. I know that they have a lot to prove with letting Saquon go and taking Singletary. And Singletary was great last year in Houston when he was a starter. Like, he was the opposite of Jerome Ford last year, right? Jerome Ford came into a great situation and stunk it up and made you lose every week. And he's getting picked at the same time as Singletary is this year. And Singletary came in, and every game he played, he was like 25 points and your team won. And if you had him in your DFS lineup, you had a chance to win big money that week because he was like $5,000 on DraftKings. So, I see Singletary being a great value to start out the year on DFS. I think he's going to way overperform his price tag. I'm probably going to put him in there as one of the cheap guys to build your roster around week one. He has a good matchup week one. I've just set in some lineups last night trying to get a start on my research. I know I'm going to go back in and edit those lineups I was setting, but I just wanted to go in there and mess with it a little bit. And Singletary standing out to me right now as a top value going into this season in all formats. But I'm going to leave it at that. I appreciate anybody joining me and sticking through my rambling on here at the end. If you are just watching this video or watch this video and you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, subscribe to my YouTube. It'll be free forever. I have no intention of monetizing anything. If anything, my long-term goal is to form a community that we can maybe build together, and maybe we can all turn it into something that does make us money. But I don't think that I'm trying to, get to any certain point where I'm going to ask people for memberships or anything like that. My biggest dream would be to get recognized by a company that could hire me and pay me, 6 figures a year, because I already make 6 figures a year. So I'm not leaving a 6-figure a year job for a lesser job. But I'd like to be able to potentially provide content for 4 or 5 years or something like that and help a ton of people and grow my name, and then catapult that into maybe a job that I have in the industry working for somebody else, and maybe doing the same thing I'm doing, but putting Pro Football Focus on my stuff and doing it for them instead, or something like that. Anyways, thanks for joining me and appreciate you guys. And Sleaze, Singletary is consistent, but Giants out of contention. They'll look what they have in Tracy. He's nasty on tape, man. You know what? I agree. He was pretty good on tape. I'm not going to argue with you. I think he'll probably get a chance at some point. Let me just say that Singletary's only missed one game in the last 4 years, so I wouldn't count on an injury being the reason he gets in there. So maybe you're right. Maybe the Giants will be out of contention, but maybe the Giants will be in contention all year too. So I don't know. I don't know. I feel better about them this year than last year, but I don't feel great about them. So thank you guys for joining me. I'm going to end this stream. I appreciate you all.